Hi, my name is Jimmy, and I'm industrial design.
Hi, I'm Jamie Bennett, and I'm a student in the interior design department.
Hey, my name is David Knapp, and I'm an industrial design student.
And we're here to talk about what it's like to be differently abled.
Being visually impaired, I was relying on my other senses a lot, mainly my cane that I was using to feel around, to figure out where I was. And as soon as I was in an open area and I had no walls around me, I was just completely lost, and I was just so confused. I had to basically make my range of motion a lot longer than I should have. I was hoping I didn't hit anybody, but yeah, that's what happens.
Everyday experiences, like even we were on the 3rd floor and we went down to the 2nd floor on the elevator. I accidentally hit like the bottom button, and like it took us like 15 minutes just to get to another floor. So I mean, I imagine you would get somewhat familiar with maneuvering around, but it's still a very uncomfortable situation.
I thought I knew where I was going, but I was actually hitting a wall. And so that kind of made me nervous just because I was so lost, and I was like, oh man, where am I going now? Which way do I turn? So I had to rely on basically my partner to direct me.
So one thing I did end up doing is I used the cane very improperly. I did it more on instinct rather than on purpose. Instead of keeping the cane on the floor like you're supposed to and like they train you to do when you're little and you're visually impaired, I actually was swinging the thing around trying to identify different objects and identify where I'm at in the actual interior space, which is a big no-no, I think.
As an interior designer, I have to constantly think about designing for differently abled people. As far as materials are concerned, since you have to rely on your different senses, it's really important to use materials that don't echo so people can hear clearly, as well as different floor textures can actually let someone know that cannot see if they're entering a different space. So for the hand binding exercise, basically our team had to wrap our hand completely with some Scotch tape, so we had no functionality for our individual fingers whatsoever. My particular tasks were involved opening and closing doors and also using the buttons to open the bathrooms, which are ADA compliant. And these two particular tasks I actually did not have a problem, even though my hand and everything was completely restrained, because the Art Institute has done an excellent job in meeting all of their ADA requirements. But I did get to witness my two classmates in my group have extreme difficulty with their two tasks.
During my experience, when I had my hands bound together, I had to type on a keyboard, and it was extremely difficult for me just because I'm always used to typing with all 10 fingers, when I just had to reduce to just one finger each hand, and it was just like taking typing classes all over again like I was in elementary school.
I had to type out a document on the computer, reload the printer with 10 pieces of paper, and print out the document. Having my thumbs tied to my hand made things extremely difficult, and simple tasks such as just reloading paper in a printer, which would take 10 seconds for somebody without impaired hands, took me, I don't know, like 5 minutes to do. Like, it was not easy at all.
A best solution for this kind of situation is that you can use the same text style format that on old cell phones had. It's called T9, and set up on a keyboard where you just tap a couple buttons a couple times, and then your words will come out, and then keep going with that. This technology has been around for a while. Voice to text, that's always helpful.
As far as my experience with the wheelchair-bound study that my group participated in at Portland's Lloyd Center Mall, It was actually pretty interesting. The main part of our visit that I partaked in actually was me going into the See's candy store and my experience with the lady behind the counter. As far as proxemics are concerned and my interaction within the store, there was only one lady that was behind the counter, no other employees except for my two partners that came in cautiously after me. And the lady behind the counter had to be very, very accommodating to me because there wasn't that much room for me to comfortably move around in, as well as the black and white tile design of the floor with the few central stationed like display cases made the room actually seem a lot more fuller than it was. So I wasn't that comfortable, but they were very accommodating to that. I would definitely say, even though the black and white checkered floor is very, very strong and true to the company's branding, it definitely made it seem much more chaotic within the space, especially when you are wheelchair bound and already having to navigate around things, trying not to run into people or whatnot. So maybe using a different type of flooring and maybe the checkered pattern in another way. The flooring itself, also the material that they used, was extremely reflective, which could be very distracting and difficult to navigate on as far as traction and everything required for easy navigation within the wheelchair.
So my particular assignment for this wheelchair-bound project was I had to roll on the streets from the parking lot to the actual mall, which was pretty difficult. There's a lot of bumps and cracks, and the sidewalk we were on in particular was pretty bad. It's pretty slanted. It's a lot harder to keep your direction. Another thing I had to do was I had to go on an elevator, and the particular elevator I was on was fairly sketchy, and it was also very crowded. You probably wouldn't want any more than 5 or 6 people in it. So just having the 3 of us and then one of us being wheelchair bound ended up being very uncomfortable. They were definitely intruding on my intimate space. Solutions should be designed around the problem of confinement. People getting up in your grill, you know. So
when we were at the Lloyd Center Mall, I was going over the sky bridge that they had, and it was at an incline. And when I was going up the incline, it was quite difficult for me just because I've never done that before, and each time I pushed to go forward, I felt like the chair was lifting up to basically throw me back, and so I was kind of like nervous to do that, but then I had to get up somehow or else I ended up rolling back. And I heard from somebody that they got to talk to someone that was actually in a wheelchair, and he was saying how having the chair that we were in, which was his first year chair or something, was like completely uncomfortable, and how the one he has now has way more features like a cushion or something like that actually made it more comfortable for him to be in.
So basically what we gathered for this entire research project was that universal design is still very much so needed in products and interior spaces. It is implemented in most designs, but it could be a lot better, and I think as designers we need to really take this into account.